Oh, thanks. All right, shush. Here we go. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Kevin McGovern, and it is Thursday, March 11th, and it's another episode of the Prove It Live podcast. You can reach us each and every Thursday at proveitlive.com, and we're getting feedback there. There we go. Shut that down. And we're still getting feedback. I'm stopping this recording. Hold on. We'll keep the online thing going. I don't know why it does that.
Well, I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, well, I was, which is not good. All right. Okay, we'll go start again, or we'll resume. So it's the Prove It Live podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Mike Frary, because we got a great show for you today. So, Mike, take it away.
Hello, peoples. Welcome to the
Peoples. I like
podcast.
that. I like peoples.
Try to keep it fresh, Kev.
Yeah, I like that.
I am one of your co-hosts, Mike Frary from the Farm Baseball Performance Institute, along with Kevin McGovern from Dr. Kevin McGovern Sports Therapy. I'm sorry, you probably spent too long pre-show.
Yeah,
and Ryan today, boys,
and Ryan Gagné.
Yeah, we are on fire today.
Yes, and Fuego. Anyway, without further ado, Ryan, we're gonna switch it up today. Ryan, what do we have leading off today?
Yes, top of the order here. One of the big things kind of coming out in the past couple of days is the Texas Rangers down there at the ballpark in Arlington will be allowing fans to enter the stadium at full capacity for opening day on April 5th against the Toronto Blue Jays.
So good news, right? I mean, definitely good news. I'm sure not everybody's going to be doing this, but definitely just, I'm sure pretty much just about everybody's their patience is worn out with these lockdowns and all the restrictions. And I know personally lots of people, including myself, just can't wait to see a ball game, see something that just kind of resembles normalcy, right? So I think it's pretty awesome. What are they doing are there any restrictions at all? It's full capacity. I mean, what are they doing for restrictions?
Yeah, so it's full capacity. The fans do have to wear masks at all times unless they're in their seat eating and or drinking.
So basically no masks.
Yeah, I mean it's right. Gonna be right. You can slowly pick at a plate of nachos, and kind of get away with it. I would imagine.
I'm not even saying getting away with it. I mean, people are just constantly drinking, right, at baseball games, especially like an opening day, right?
Or eating a bag of peanuts. I mean, you're not,
talking about soda.
Hey, maybe you are, buddy. But not us people like to watch. Soda, of course. Well, I mean, the sodas are. You figure with all the money they lost, the sodas are going to be like $9. The beers will be $25.
Buddy, where have you been?
Would you go to like AA games right now?
They're already $9. Gotcha.
It's like $1 million.
Can I get a Diet Coke and a hot dog? $3 million. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty. I saw that and I was like, all right, it's Texas, they.
Well, I mean, look, if you have been vaccinated, if you've been vaccinated, right, and you're going to wear a mask, then, let someone else. They got to worry about. I'm covered, right, and then I'm covering, I guess, myself to someone else. So, if you've chosen not to get vaccinated or chosen not to take care of yourself or do whatever you need to do, why should that hamper me that's done the right thing, I guess? If I'm vaccinated and everyone I'm with is vaccinated, I'm wearing a mask, then what am I going to do? Sit home? And when is it going to end? Today does mark a year, I believe, that the whole world shut down, right? Is it today?
Yep.
So, I mean, we're vaccinating people allegedly. I mean, what?
I'm vaccinated.
1.5 million a day. Oh, it must be nice. How'd you get on the list and no one else did in this?
I got clout.
Yeah.
I got some pull.
You must.
Gout is what it is.
Important people. Important people. No, actually through the
tell us, right? So you've gotten, how do you, I mean, does your arm hurt? Like, so what's going on? When was your second vaccination? Today?
So it was supposed to be yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're a day late.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's tomorrow. So you haven't gotten both shots yet?
I haven't gotten both, but you're protected up like 94% after the first shot after 14 days. Yeah. So the second one's more like a booster. But I actually got it from the like the companion program because my dad's old.
Yeah.
So I drive him everywhere, and so I got it through that, and it was like
cool.
And
you got what shot did you get? Do you know?
Moderna.
Yeah.
And so first shot. So they say that if you had COVID, then even the first shot will mess you up a bit. And I was convinced. I'm kind of still convinced I had it. I'm not going to lie, but it had been so long because if I did have it, the instance that I'm thinking about was last February, like end of January, and going into February. And so Luke, my son, at one point last year, he had this cough that would not go away. He asked to go see his pediatrician. Like, we didn't think it was that big a deal because he didn't have any symptoms.
He had asked. What kind of parents are running that household?
Well, we're ones who just like, we love homeopathy. We gave him lemon drops. No, but
a lot of essential oils in that household.
Exactly.
Well, rub some Vicks on his tummy, right? They still have Vicks. Yeah,
Vicks is amazing. I love Vicks. So anyway, we take him to his pediatrician. They're like, no, he's got nothing. It's just a cough, lingering cough. It ended up going away a few days later. But during that, he complained that he couldn't taste his food for 3 days. And so that being one of the main symptoms.
That is like a main symptom. So so there's that, and then there's the college. So the college translation is that I had a pitching client of mine who's we'll say a college out west, and both he and his roommate had gotten it, so they kind of quarantined all the baseball players into like one apartment. So the no taste thing, so they start to put that in a way college kids would do that, like hot sauce.
Right.
How like whatever hot, and then chug vodka or chase it with vodka, and I'm like, oh, good. You see, your parents' tuition is going to, to have COVID races of to test this thing out,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I really hope he's on scholarship.
Yeah, I don't know.
For the parents'
I think he's a D2, so he's not. Yeah.
So a lot of. It's really interesting because if we remember, right, and while we're on the topic, right, and it is basically the anniversary, I remember the number one symptom at the time, what they thought was fever, right? And so it's interesting is, like in our facility,
a fever.
One of the
more cowbell. That was a layup. That was a layup.
One of the protocols we have at the facility is, and it's everywhere, is to take temperatures, and then come to find out it's only like 20% of people that have it actually have a fever. Yeah. So anyway, I know I'm way more way past the point of being ready to be outside and watch baseball games, coach baseball games, anything really. I mean,
to be outside. Yes. And I guess, from some of the data that I've read that, they drove us all inside, and, at least in New York, and there's it's been traced to being inside, right? To being indoors, right? Not has there been spread of boy, he was at the outdoor baseball game and everybody, got COVID from that. It's been everything has been indoors, what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think they have any real data that says that anything like that has happened outdoors. I mean, there was the convention here in Boston that really kind of kicked everything off.
They're thinking that's like a million. I mean, what are they thinking? Last I heard, they're responsible for over 300,000 cases. That could be even more. Could be even more now. But I mean, we haven't heard one confirmed. I'm sure it would make news if it was. We haven't heard anything from the Super Bowl, right?
No. I mean, look, I think we're on obviously to coming to the tail end, and people will argue there's other variants and strains, but I think that's what happens when things become just like endemic, right? When they're just there, something like the flu just kind of is out there now, But no, anyway, I think it's good news. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what the other teams do. Is it not? No one's really announced.
Well, the one counterpoint, yeah. So there's two things coming out of this too. Is the state of Texas is obviously wide open. The governor said we're dropping everything. Houston has said that they will be allowing fans back in, but it won't be at full capacity just yet. They haven't quite determined what it will be, but it won't be full capacity. But one of the I guess kind of ironic things about who the Rangers are playing on opening day is the Toronto Blue Jays, who, if you remember last year, they wouldn't allow them to play in Canada. They were the Buffalo Blue Jays, right?
And they're still not, right? Where are they playing this year?
Yeah, so for right now, the first 2 homestands will be at their spring training facility in Florida, and after that, it's up in the air. It could be a mix of Florida, Buffalo, at some point Toronto.
They just gotta. In all seriousness, I mean, I'm sure San Antonio's dying for a team. I'm sure Tennessee is dying for a team. Get out of there.
Nashville is next on the list, and
I mean, Nashville's such a great, beautiful. From what I've never been there, but from what I'm told, you've got so much to do there. It'd be a perfect fit. You know, like, I mean, is baseball really? I mean, they're only selling out. I mean, there's only fans in the stands that I've seen when the Yankees, the Red Sox are in town. And there's playoffs. That's it. It just doesn't. Toronto just not supporting it, especially now being gone. What will be 2 years of probably.
Yep.
Get them out of there. You know what I mean? We don't. Baseball doesn't need any more expansion. They just need to move teams that don't draw fans to people who will. Yep. You know, move the Rays, move the Blue Jays, and get them to a place that.
You would think Miami, being a predominantly Latin city, would have a big baseball following, but they don't draw anything there. It could also be
look at all the other
the ownership group, all that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot to be said there.
Yeah, but look at all the other things to do in Miami. You know what I mean? Like you have amazing beaches there. Yeah, I mean it's like
golf courses and all that.
It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. You want to be outside. You want to be at the beach if you have free time.
But there's the Marlins are starting. I mean, they were competitive last year. They're gonna.
It's like it's like Tampa Bay. I can't watch games where Tampa. I actually like watching Tampa over the years. They as an organization, they always put together, fun sort of like no big name, scrappy teams,
right?
Good play, right. I just like watching them generally, but when they're home, I can't like that dungeon that they play in. It's like
so I've actually been there, I think, like 5 times, believe it or not. I was I was doing some business in Clearwater a few years ago, and I've been to a playoff game there when they played the White Sox. You could sit in the first row overlooking the field in
for $1.
In these club seats. I think it was like, at the time, it was like $75 with food included. Like you go in and there'd be a buffet, like of food. Like it was crazy. And no one, I mean, the playoff game, there was people there, but during the regular time, there's no one there. It's just got to move out of there. I mean, Florida is a spring training destination. There's just too many transplants from all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. That's the other thing is like
And now there's going to be even more. With this, because people are moving there.
Yeah, all the big teams, the ones that draw really well. There's you're mostly homegrown fans. I mean, You have to sort of have that demographic. But anyway, I'm just glad that at least it's a glimmer of hope there. The thing with the Texas Rangers, so that's good stuff. All right, so let's move on to our.
So I've got a thing that we're going to move on to.
I want you to take it from here.
So after painstakingly listening to Mike, go over his math and hitting last week, which was excellent, by the way. For those who haven't listened to it, you need to. I learned something, and I came up. Half of this podcast is about the noise of social media, and it just every day it doesn't fail to disappoint how it is noise, and just people just being noise, I'll call it. So I came upon a tweet from a Division I, that would be the top of the NCAA for those playing at home, baseball coach here in the Northeast. And his tweet read this: if a player is not capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark, why are you teaching them to hit fly balls? At most levels of baseball or softball, fly balls are easy outs. Need to help players understand what they need to do in order to have success. So, of course, I took that as, gee, we don't want to hit the ball in the air, because we hit the ball in the air. If we don't hit it out of the ballpark, it's an out. We shouldn't do that. So I quoted my friend Mike Ferry's response that essentially there's 6 players in the infield, and there's 3 players in the outfield, and the surface area or square footage in the outfield, there is much more larger than that in the infield, and we do need to hit the ball out there and to get hits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I was again had attacked, I guess, by a ding dong. So I'm gonna bring. I don't know if you know. I'm obviously I know from show prep that there is a ding dong, but I'm gonna kind of go with the little chain, and then you guys can kind of. I'll be quiet. And you guys can chime in. So not the coach chimed in and said, "Are you suggesting hitting in the air without home run power is a good idea? It's unclear." My answer, yes. His answer, air does not equal more hits. Ground balls for base hits is at a higher probability than fly balls. So he is saying ground balls for base hits is at a higher probability. So he's telling me that there's more hits on the ground than balls in the air, and that these are facts, and I can look them up. So, and then he goes on to, and I keep going back and forth. Like, are you teaching to hit the ball on the ground? Are you teaching? And of course, like most people on social media, they will never take a stand. They will just try to condemn what you said. So he went on to then say that, which we'll find out if that's a fact or not. I'll let Ryan and Mike go at that. And he basically said that that fly balls, the statistics have it that hitting the ball in the air is a less probability for a hit.
That's false.
And I'll let you and Mike jumped in, and I'll turn this over to Mike and Ryan to help defend me, maybe. So,
Yeah.
so he said, had you said that there are more runs in the air, the data would support that. But when you say hit the ball on the ground, that data is false.
Yeah, that's
Or
irrelevant.
hit the ball in the air, that data is false.
So look, there's so much to unpack here, and this is when we were talking about, so because this is a thing that we maybe would have done as a segment, as a maybe why would you do that, but there's just so much to unpack here, and I think it's clear. We want to be clear and helping people understand what this all means. So absolutely. Let's start from the jump, okay? Line drives are in the air. They are not on the ground. They're in the air, all right? So the very first thing that I thought of was that. And the second thing was, if you don't have players who can hit it out of the park, you're not teaching them to hit the right way. Or you're bringing in the players who don't know how to hit the proper way. If you're generating force the way you're supposed to, if you're swinging with your legs, look at Jose Altuve hits the ball out, like clear out. There's not a park that he can't hit it out of, okay? And he's like, what, 4'8", whatever he is.
4'9", I think, right? We're going to check that.
Okay. So, right, but he's small. This isn't the 1970s when you had guys like, a Jerry Remy for the Red Sox. I think he had like 2 home runs his entire career, right? Those players don't exist. The whole idea of just like slapping and hitting with your hands, no one should be doing that at this point. So, and most players aren't. So that's the first thing. Line drives in the air. And if you've been taught the right way to hit, or if you are teaching the right way to hit, there's no reason why if a guy barrels a ball and I don't want to get way back into into the numbers like we I don't want to go back into the math, but one quick sort of just note is that that 27 to 28 degrees in terms of launch angle, or it's the angle of the ball coming off the bat, not your attack angle. The attack angle is the angle which you swing the bat. The angle of the ball coming off the bat, 27, 28 degrees is like the sweet spot. Okay. Now you have to hit the ball somewhat hard.
What should the attack angle be, Mike? Just to review in case you like just
anywhere between 8 to 12, 14 degrees, depending on the the pitch, but
from parallel, meaning if we drew a line across the ground, 8 to 12 degrees on an upward angle.
Right. Positive 8 to 10. Right.
Positive.
And as many as 12 and 14. And you're basically trying to hit, you're staying on plane of the pitch. You're trying to drive the ball, the lower half of the ball, so that you get good backspin, right? And that's the other thing here, of course, we talked about last episode is backspin. You hit a ball at 27 degrees with an 85 mile an hour exit velocity, which is not like a lot of high schoolers can achieve that with a 2000 RPM backspin. And that ball is going out of most ballparks. Okay. Now, the other thing was that I thought of is perhaps this guy is conflating balls in the air to fly balls. Not all balls in the air are fly balls. Like we said, line drives. There's also high line drives. Now, all of the devices that measure these metrics, the Rapsodos, the Hit Tracks, the Trackmans, all of them, they categorize these, right? And so the balls that you hit, if you hit a ball at a 28-degree launch, that's not a fly ball. That's a high line. Okay, that's a high line drive, not
Is
a
there
fly
a
ball.
is Ryan? Is there a difference in statistics? Like, is there classification on is it ground ball and fly ball, or is there ground ball like medium line drive, partial line drive, high line? What is there, or is there anything?
Well,
sorry,
we're gonna get. I want to get
oh,
into that. That's sure. I want to get into that because we did look it up as he suggested, and I already knew that there were graphs out there that talk about this, and you absolutely don't want to ball in the ground, and you certainly don't want to be teaching that, right? You don't want to be teaching to hit the top half of the ball. You certainly don't want to be teaching to hit down the ball. And in all fairness, this guy did not say that he would teach that, right? He's talking about
he did not.
just the people who don't have the power to hit it out to somehow teach them differently. Perhaps he's teaching them to hit on the ground. Think the movie, was it Major League, where you had Wesley Snipes, right? The guy who could run fast. He's like, you hit that ball in the air again, you give me 10 push-ups, right?
Right. Every ball you hit in the air.
Right.
Right.
And Jason here is sending me stuff. So Jason's sending me some. I'm getting just text coming in about this as I'm talking about it. Those are even just too vague. We'll get into a little bit more depth of what the numbers look like, but they study this stuff now, right? And it really can be as simple. The opening theory in your mind should be, as Kevin said, you have 3 people in a large area, you have 6 people in a smaller area. And if you're and look, what do your eyes tell you? You're watching the game, you see a ball on the ground, you assume that's probably going to be an out, especially in today's game.
With a shift, right?
That shifts. They know, they have research data. They know generally what direction you can hit the ball. And if you put it on the ground, they're going to have 1 or 2 people there, right? And these guys are fast. Defense is better than it's ever been, hands down. You see a ball that's hit to the hole between third base and shortstop, you get a guy backhand that turn, jump, throw, have a guy by a full step and a half. Right. I mean, that's become sort of a normal play these days, right? Balls up the middle, go nowhere to go. So,
I mean, unless it's an error you're out. I mean, you're on the ground. I mean, unless
an error's not a hit, so it flies in the face of anything, right?
Right.
I have this this graph up. It's a StatCast tracker where you can basically break down by exit velo and launch angle.
Can you share your screen for?
Yeah.
The millions, and I mean millions, watching at home.
So I just took,
look at this.
kind of middle of the road stat: exit velo of 80 miles an hour, a launch angle of 0, and you're looking at this is in the majors last year, 2020, a batting average of 172, right? Where only 15% of that was singles. Right, you're looking at all of these are outs, double plays, line drives, whatever. These are all.
So everything in gray is essentially
an out,
a ground ball out. Okay.
Yep, exactly. I mean, there's certainly a handful of singles that kind of bleed through, and these little bleeders down the line that probably I would assume someone who's fairly fast leg that into a double, right?
Okay.
So you can kind of play around with this and see what correlates.
So what's the average? Like what's the average launch angle, average exit velocity, give or take a few?
So I think the average exit velo in the majors last year, we looked this up a couple weeks ago.
91.
Somewhere 91. Between 85 and low 90s. So I mean, if we go over here to low 90s, and then we can play around the launch angle. I mean, getting higher up in launch angle here, talking about 13 degrees with an exit velo of 90, you get a batting average of 958.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Right. So that right there, that graph just dispels right out of the backs. If you hit the ball on the ground, you're out, and if you hit it in the air, your probability of getting a hit is much higher.
Much higher.
Now, obviously, I'm assuming like no one's teaching. Like, I guess it ain't like. I'm assuming that no one's teaching. You guys are not teaching someone to hit pop-ups behind the behind the catcher, right? So it's one attack swing, right? It's one swing. You hit on top of the ball, it goes in the ground. You nut it up, it goes on a line drive.
A fly ball's a miss, and that's the thing. So you should have fairly specific goals on what you're trying to teach, right? You should know what the sweet spots are for launch angle, for spin, for exit velo is going to really vary on age, of course, and on physical ability. But the players who really know how to swing, they swing with their legs, they generate force with their lower half and their core, they're going to get the bat moving fast. So their exit velocities are going to be, look, at the end of the day, maximize whatever player you have. It's a youth player, a 12-year-old, maximize their bat speed and their exit velocity by teaching them how to swing. And obviously, but I think we're talking more in the near conversation, Kevin, these are more about collegiate age players, right? So have an idea of what type of angle you're trying to hit it out. And that's again, a ground ball is a miss, a fly ball is a miss. Okay.
Right.
That's that simple. So you're not trying to teach either of those because they're misses, right? You're trying to teach. And by the way, MLB and Rapsodo is, I think, a little bit different, but MLB considers anything less than 10 degrees as a ground ball. Okay. So that's something that's not going to quite get out
Mikey,
of the.
you're not, so you bring someone in, and you've talked about this before. You got the 12-year-old kid who's 6'5". You know what I mean? Are you you're teaching the same swing mechanics to absolutely everybody,
everybody,
whether that's the peewee guy who or the horse. Everyone's getting the same swing, which is my point. Right, that's my point.
Yeah, you don't teach different swings that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Okay, good.
And especially for young kids, because you're building in a muscle memory, you're creating a habit. And so what, you want to teach someone one way and then have to have them break that habit and learn a new one when
that was my whole point. Why are you changing? That's like saying, we've got Bryson DeChambeau and we've got your average golf. Are we teaching them different golf swings? No, it's the same swing. We try to maximize.
Thank God
the
you
force
said
behind
golf, because I was like, wait, who are these guys? Who do they play for?
They play for themselves, right? They don't need 8 other guys, just them.
No, then you only need one person to play a game. I play solitaire myself.
Here we go again.
So anyway, but no,
it's the things you can't do.
I know.
Oh, right. And you can. Yeah, you're great. So anyway, the point is, when you're, I'm sorry, I'm fired up now. See what happened? You got me riled up.
Children.
I was already here, and then you mentioned golf.
No fighting.
So, look, again, talking about the sweet spots, and that's why it's more nuanced than just, is it a fly ball, is it a
great graphic, by the way. Right? Great graphic.
Yeah, that's a great site, actually. I want to save that, because
please tell me that's done by computer and there's not some bean counter checking everything. Some poor intern checking every hit.
Well, someone had to do it. Someone had to
That's the official MLB StatCast.
Yeah. That's a great thing to use. And you could refer anybody to that. And again, I like to give the benefit of the doubt. I really do. And I think that a lot of times when these sort of arguments, in the debates, even online, someone's misunderstanding something. And the unfortunate part is everyone just wants to rush to tell you what they know. And then let me show you this, and let me show you what I know.
Yeah, that's what it was like. I'm like, you don't know anything. I'm like,
right.
Okay, I just know that you shouldn't change. No matter what, everything, the mechanics should be the same. If we have chosen the purpose of this is to do this, we don't weight lift different. We don't move different. It's one way of doing it, and that's it.
I mean, so again, getting back to, you don't want a 50-degree launch angle, all right? Unless you're hitting, if you're capable of 112 mile an hour bat speed, you can maybe still hit a ball. Right, you won't be 112, but you could maybe still hit one at, 98 miles an hour and get and with a 50-degree launch and still maybe get it out depending on the park. But again, you're not teaching that. You're teaching to hit the ball in a climbing line drive, a high line drive, and that's the thing that I was trying to get to that there's missing. So I was looking at the MLB stats, and they have ground ball, line drive, and fly ball, and there's high line drive. Right.
Okay,
also,
good.
A hard ground ball should technically be a separate category too, because you can nearly barrel one, right? So
or something pulled down the line too could be, Those are barrel. Those could be barrel too.
So again, don't take our word for it, my word for it. Do your own research. And you see this as well, but it's out there. I mean, everywhere that you look, you're going to see that the majority of the hits are hit into the outfield, right? They're in the air, right? A line drive, is in the air, right? And so anything that you now is that our exact ideal swing? No, because we want doubles, triples, home runs. We want the big hits, right? And that's the thing. If you have a guy that's speedy, it used to be thought where, all right, you put that ball on the ground and you try to beat that out. Well, I'm sorry, that's not sustainable because sooner or later you're going to run to an infield where everybody has, 85, 90 to 95 mile an hour arms. They're as quick as you are. And, you've got 90 feet to run and they're going to beat you. They're going to get there quicker. You have these ground balls also, a lot of them are coming fast, especially at the high level. You think of the major leagues, they're playing on quarter-inch cut, perfectly manicured grass, right? That ball's coming off a major league pitch, which of high velocity. You're at that level, so you're generating pretty damn good bat speed, right? That ball, it's 90 feet, and the good ones get there in about 3.5 seconds, but the defense is just too good these days. Too good. The new way if I have somebody that has wheels, even more so, I want him putting it in the air. I want him to put it in the gaps because he's going to end up on third instead of second, like most of my guys, right? So I got a guy on third, but just it's no longer a well, I don't want to say it's no longer a theory. It probably still is because it's a sort of just like it's still like a work and play, but you can look up these stats. I mean, we've got so many. We had statistics on so many batted balls. I mean, I wouldn't even, the hundreds and hundreds of thousands. And these metrics are staying true that you want the ball in the air. We know where the spin. We didn't know that. We didn't know that 10 years ago. We know what kind of spin you want. We know exactly how you want to hit the ball. And it's I guess debatable, but not really.
So to sum up, with most probability, air equals hits and ground equals outs.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. You do in our facility, a ground ball is like a dirty word. Like ground balls are bad. Ground balls are bad. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. What do we got next, fellas? Oh, we got questions, right? Is there a question? I know we missed a question from last week because we were running short on time.
Yep.
Yeah. So our question last week was, at what age do I start specializing in one sport? Right? Like when do I stop playing basketball and only focus on baseball or hockey or whatever? Right. This one kind of piggybacks off that, and we'll keep it baseball specific because obviously that's what we do here. At what age do I start to specialize in one position?
That's a good question, actually.
That's a good question.
I do remember this actually from last week, and I remember thinking about which one we wanted to go to, and I wanted to save the better one for last, because I think this is a more interesting one than the other one. But so the answer is there's no simple answer. I think it's going to depend. There's a couple of things you have to consider. All right, the first one is always, what's your ultimate goal? Is it just high school, or do you want to play in college? The vast majority of players that we work with, and Kevin, that you work with, they want to play college baseball, right? These kids want to play college baseball. That's their goal, or professional if they can. But I think college is sort of their immediate long-term goal, if that makes sense. And so if that's the case, and let's say that, you've got a 90 mile an hour arm, right? And you really excel at pitching, and pitching's your primary, and maybe you're an 8 or 9 hitter in your lineup. You're not the best defender on the team. You might want to consider, and this should only be for like high school age, because so many things can change for the youth. But if you're a high school age, you want to get to college, and you're primarily a pitcher, and say like a middle of the road batter / defender, I think that you might want to consider focusing your time on pitching, right? Kev, what do you think?
I think what my esteemed colleague was trying to say, Ryan, is that question isn't even asked. Just like last question isn't even asked. The only reason it's asked, again, is money. Okay? What position is going to get me into school, into the draft, or whatever, so I've got the best So, because I'm a commodity, my body's a commodity, and what position does my commodity get me the most dollars? Whether that's in scholarship, whether that's in signing bonus, whatever it is. If not, again, we'd be outside in the sandlot in the baseball field right now playing, but no, that's not happening because we're all of everything is happening is for a purpose to improve but also to get better than the neighbor down the street, and you might like to play shortstop, but if you get on the mound and it's got a 9 and a 2, your days as shortstop are numbered. Okay, might be great, but I mean your best, you know, your best ticket to the promised land is pitching. Or if you're a 75-mile-an-hour thrower, but you're a 450 hitter with a cannon, then you're at shortstop. Then with who runs this? I mean, what's a good 60 time? And you're stolen base. I mean, your best. You might like pitching. It might be fun for you, but you're best at shortstop.
Yeah, no, I
It is.
agreed. I mean, and
I would think by sophomore year, junior year, with all the playing we're doing, you pretty much know where the money's at, right?
That's the thing. I would say you want at least 2 off seasons.
Yeah.
Of your specific training, right? So, you don't have to do it freshman year. But we've had kids that have chosen at like 14 to do it. Now,
yeah, I think that's a little young.
It could be, but it was one of them's pitch. He's probably going to be one of Yale's frontline starters as soon as they get back to playing baseball. And he just knew he was so passionate about pitching. He liked baseball.
He's out there right now.
Is he really?
He's out there right now. Yeah.
Oh, tell him I said hello when he comes back in. So he likes baseball. He loves pitching.
Let me see those mechanics.
He's a drop down guy. But anyway, it's definitely a good question because look, I've had a couple people where they're on board with it. They know that that's what they want to do, but maybe mom or dad doesn't want them to do it yet, especially in the idea of pitching, because like, well, I don't want to see my son every 3-4 games, every 4 or 5 games.
Right.
I want to see him all, and I get that, but again, you got to try. If you're a mom or dad, you really got to try to consider your kids' dreams, and it's not easy. And I will disagree with Kevin in one regard, is that it's not always just about money. A lot of these guys are trying to they want to make a roster spot. You know what I mean?
And that could be too, but I'm just saying, well, that could be, the money could be that's your money to make you've got a better chance of being on a roster spot for somewhere as a pitcher than you do an outfielder, or you do a shortstop. Whatever gets you the most for your hard work and effort. I guess.
Arms are an absolute premium, right?
Absolutely, they are.
And we have a player,
especially ones are throw from the wrong side of the mound, which would be the left-handed arm. I mean,
right?
It's still
ones that are born wrong,
right? So we have a player who's in like the top 1% in terms of his hitting metrics. Okay, exit velocity, distance, right? I mean, he's a big kid, and he's 6'4". And like literally like the top 1 to 2%, probably 1. And his exit, he's 109 off, he's got 109 front toss, he got 108 off a tee, like hits it's insane. Okay.
That's crazy.
We throw him up on the mound one day because I said, you know what? Hey, you should work with the pitching guy, because his last recorded outfield velocity, he's an outfielder, was like 91, I think. And I said, hey, if you can get that up to like 94, 95, that's going to check off yet another box for you and make you even that much more desirable. Put him up on the mound, and surely doesn't the kid hit a 99 on the mound? And we had it recorded, and it was on Pitch Logic. It was on one of our, measuring tools for pitching.
That's insane. They're going to turn him. They're going to turn him to a pitcher.
They will. Well, I don't think they will, but because I think he'll go to an organization that sees him for his bat. Whatever. That's the conversation at the time. Point is, scouts started coming from everywhere. That's what made him blow up. And it's because that is such a premium. And the fact is, he's not throwing 99 every pitch. Obviously, let's say he's 95. Yeah, that's an elite level fastball.
Raw, but he's 95 raw. He's never had really any coaching pitching, right? This is just like
that's raw. Yep. Yeah. So and it's an elite level fastball, but that doesn't put him in any top 1%. See what I'm saying? So it's such a premium that that's what they're looking for. So especially if that position that you're thinking about moving to full time and to work on, and this is really more about training. If you're training 3 days a week, again, and you should, on your baseball skills, you want to make that 3 days a week working on your pitching. If you do decide to,
that's a very good point,
right? To bring it down to one position. And obviously the same goes for hitters, right? To maybe give up pitching, but that typically ends up, that's a little bit more obvious sometimes because, those, right. If you don't have the velo, those kids just start getting hit and they don't have fun pitching anymore. So they just kind of throw it away.
And I'm sure there's always exceptions. You'll see the guy who started off, came up as a catcher and now is a pitcher, came up as an infielder and now is whatever. There's always that. But yeah, to go with the probability, you kind of follow the money again.
Yep, and again, I think it's the probabilities and it's what coach is looking for. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
awesome.
Right. Are we time for? We're not. It's not time, is it?
Why would you do that?
Nice. It's time.
It's time for why would you do that? So, Ryan, you want to kick this
up? Who's got that on the share screen? Is that Ryan's got that, our esteemed producer? So I have a when you guys talk about it, I've got a completely different take on this that you're really gonna love.
I have a bit of a different take this week too.
Here we go.
Because mine's on a complete why would you do that? Because you'll see the drill itself isn't the worst thing in the world, but we'll get to this.
So here it is.
There you go.
All right. Let's play that sucker.
Oy. Okay, so what you're watching here, for those just listening, is we got a kid. He's a hitter. He's doing some tee work, and he's doing some one-hand drills. And the way that the instructor has him set up is he's a right-handed hitter. So he's got his right knee down on the ground, his left leg extended sort of out in front of him in the direction of the pitcher.
Completely straight, pretty much.
Completely straight. I don't know, but maybe that's comfortable for him. I don't know.
And his legs like a wishbone, like you're spreading them way out there. Yep.
That's right. And his right knee's right underneath his right shoulder. So, and he's got a bat. I don't think it's a mini bat, but it's a small bat. And he's just taking one-arm swings, top hand, about 3 or 4, and then he's switching to the bottom hands. Now, the drill itself, you might say, Mike, what's wrong with that? They're just trying to isolate hand path here, right? True. That's true. And you do sometimes want to isolate hand path so they can focus on all that. The issue, okay, is that the hand path is completely wrong. And so this comes from me. This is another one of the, why would you do that? Why would you just do drills for drills? Because this kid, unfortunately, he's reinforcing a really, really, really bad habit here with his hands.
He's casting, right?
He's casting. So with your top hand, you want your elbow. If you're right-handed hitter, you want your right elbow behind your right fist. And as you go through the ball, you want it to stay behind your fist so you can extend your hand through contact. And if you can imagine, if you're in a batter's box and you have the batter's box lines drawn, right, the one near the plate, your hand should basically stay on the path of that white line straight through contact. What's happening in the video is his hands coming, as Kevin said, casting. They call it casting. The hands come out way away from the body, and his left and his right elbows dropping underneath his hand, and he's kind of hooking the ball. If you can imagine, almost like a tennis return, right? It's sort of like how you return a tennis serve, right? That's okay in tennis, not okay in baseball. You're going to eat lots of what we call jam sandwiches if you hit like this, right? He's also doing the same thing with the bottom hand, which is the one we talk about all the time, which is when you're working on your bottom hand, make sure you keep your front elbow down. It will rotate upwards, okay? But you don't want to lift the elbow up high. And again, because it's going to make you come out and around contact. And that's what we're seeing in this video. And unfortunately, look, not everyone's going to do this, right? So I don't want to just pick a drill or pick a video and say, come down on an instructor for something, because it's not like the kids can all do this correctly, but he's not correcting them. So that's my gripe.
All right. So my gripe might be a little bit different. We have what probably appears to be a 11 or 12-year-old boy, give or take. All right. And I'm going to talk about the joint of the body, and that's the knee.
Love it.
The knee has one movement. It bends and straightens. And just for those who don't know, knees do not like to be bent. If they did, we wouldn't need JetBlue and extra room in our seat, okay, for the person in front of us. We would like our knees to be bent up underneath us. So when you bend your knees, you increase force on the patellofemoral joint, meaning think of your kneecap being sucked back into the joint. And it's for some of us who've had knee injuries, one knee injury, your knee never likes to be bent. All right. So here we have a adolescent boy, 12, 13, whatever, who certainly has growth plates, who certainly is not fully developed, doing this drill for however long it lasted on one knee. Okay, all of his body weight, like we'll say at least 70% of it on that knee, twisting and turning and driving that kneecap into the patellofemoral joint. This is an absolute no-no and needs to be stopped and tackled, regardless of what the drill might be. You are sacrificing the human body to do this drill, which to me serves no purpose for anything having to do with anything below the belly button, and you're actually doing harm to this kid's knee, because I can guarantee. So now what's going to happen is that knee joint is mushed, and he's going to go stand up. And he's going to be like, oh, my knee hurts. This was, years ago they used to do another, and I've actually still seen this. Some people do wall sits. Like people will do that, and literally. So just for those at home, I use the analogy of a bending knee as your ice cream, like the tibia, your lower bone there is being ice cream scooped by your femur. So as you're bending your knee, it's like the ice cream scoop is coming into the ice cream and scooping out. So then as you have to reverse that, you got to dig back and scoop it back out again. And I can't tell you how many flexion to extension or long-term flexion, meaning knee bent to extension injuries there are for drills like this and exercises like wall sits. It's bad. It's bad. It's not a good look.
So no, and by the way, so that's interesting because I just learned something there. And Kevin, I have a question to follow up with that for you. But so for people listening and are watching, there are guys, you can take that video down too. There are other ways to do that drill, right? And I would prefer, if I were doing it, I would prefer to have the hips facing the pitcher, because if you're going to isolate the hands, which again, you sometimes want to do to work on hand path to stay linear with your hands, you want to have the hips turned to where they would be once your hands move, which is towards the pitcher, not facing, the left-handed batter's box if you're a right-handed batter. So yeah, definitely better ways to do that. So Kevin, I have a question. So that's interesting. I didn't know about that. Because we've done wall sits. We've actually done it with our catchers. Now we haven't done it in a while because we have a newer catching instructor. He just doesn't do those. So are those bad even if you're, using proper squat form?
Yeah, because it really has no, I guess it would go back. Yes, the short answer is yes. For a catching drill, what's the purpose of getting out your back of your hamstrings and your butt, hits your heels, and you're supported in the catcher's position. So being in that wall sit, if the purpose is working on the legs and the explosives to get up, there's a million different ways we can do that other than a wall sit, because that femur just, think of like it just sits here, right? And now we've got to get up, and so the back of your femur is actually bigger than the front, so the posterior side. So when that bends, and then you've got to come back into extension, you can take a meniscus right off.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So is the issue more that the length of time that you're staying there?
Length of time, absolutely.
Okay.
Length of time. Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously you can bend your knee and we can do squats, but we just don't sit there on the wall. Yeah, it's just yeah. So I can show your catcher instructor whatever the purpose of what he is trying to get out of it. I can definitely show different exercises that would accomplish that safer than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff to know. See, we're learning all the time. We're learning all the time, boys. All right.
So what do we got to finish? Ryan, what do you got? You start us off. You got any last words for the week? He's paused. Is he still there?
He is paused. I thought he was.
I thought that was like, yes. He's like paused.
Because usually when you get paused, it's like this, right?
Oh, there he's back.
There you are.
There.
Welcome back.
Our internet connection is unstable.
Oh, all right. Because I'm like, because I mean, last week when Mike was going on, I was really going to tell everyone I was trying to watch whatever you were on screen. I think I was telling you I was trying to watch through your eyeglasses what you were watching on screen. But this time you really were paused.
No, I was just
It was
frozen
the
there.
most perfect pause ever because I was
It
saying
was.
to
You're
Kevin,
like,
like usually you're like when you're
see
paused,
that?
like,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
but you were just this is you.
I was like, is he still there?
Yeah.
So you got anything? What do you got?
No, I got nothing. I mean,
Thoughts, comments?
Like Mike said right there. I talking to you about this stuff and talking about like the wall sit drill and and putting pressure on the knee. We're learning something new every time we have one of these. So it's been good.
Yeah, and look at you guys. That's my. You'll see if you look good. You Google, you'll see programs doing it. You'll see. I saw something where like it was like almost a gym. I think actually my daughter was telling me, "Oh yeah, Daddy, we did wall sits." What?
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse for a female because women's knee injuries are like I don't know, depending on what study you look to, 15, 20, 30 to 1 over men.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just something that's just it's not just for that, just for the anatomical reason. So good,
Right.
as long as we're here, that's what we're doing here to educate, here to help. So that's good. Mikey, what do you got?
I think I covered pretty much all I wanted to say. I can't tend to do that when I get talking, but
Yeah, I mean, did he? What Ryan? What's the word count? Did he finally run out of words? Do we
Yeah.
have a quota on word
we
count?
put that on that like that transcribing technology. You could really find out. But
My goodness.
uh, research. I'm just gonna, I know I say it a lot, like ask the why, and this is sort of in that same vein. But you know, there's so much information out there, and actual research that's done. That's not just someone's opinion, like the chart that we saw from Ryan, and maybe we can even put that in our in our description on our post this week. So if people want to click and go mess around with that and see, what sort of
Oh yeah, if you
exit
send me that link, I
velocities,
can dump that. Yeah, yep,
that'd be pretty
do
cool.
that.
You can see what exit velocities, how they, where you want to be matching an exit velocity with a degree. Like if your exit velocity or your son's exit velocity, you can sort of find that sweet spot because, it's going to be around that 27, 28. But, if you're a little bit smaller, maybe 25, etc. If you're playing on a smaller diamond, might be something even still, but it's definitely going to be in the air. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One of my favorite things that I looked at when I was messing around with that and looking at launch angle, you talk about a launch angle of say, 27 degrees with 107 mile an hour exit velo. The batting average was 979.
Yeah.
And of those hits, 96% of them were home runs.
That's right. So that's it. And so look at 27 degrees and look at like 90 miles an hour.
So 27 degrees here.
Or 92. Do like 92 would be more of an average.
So 28. I got 28 degrees, 92 mile an hour. We have a batting average of 154.
What do you call it? What's the I lost my train of thought.
Thank God.
So if we keep the same launch angle of 28 degrees and we add 7 miles an hour in exit velo and bump it up to 99, the batting average shoots from 179 to 578.
Now do this. Do a 33-degree launch. And let's and do a 98 exit velo.
Batting average of 299.
And once you get above that into the 35s, you're going to see that'll start to come backwards, right? So that will start to slowly go down
because you're hitting more pop. You're
hitting more pop-ups in the air, but anything under 10 degrees is considered a ground ball, and that's what you want to stay with. You want to stay above 10 degrees. Anything less than that is a miss. It's an absolute miss. So when you're hitting with your coach, whatever, and he's 10 feet away in front toss, and you hit it off the L screen, that's not a line drive, right? It's obviously a ground ball, right?
Nice.
All right.
So one last thing for me, and Ryan, if you give me that link, I will put it both on our YouTube channel and also to if you visit Buzzsprout. That's just like it sounds, buzzsprout.com. That's where our show is. That's the middleman between our show and like all of our podcasts. But there are the show notes as well. And from our stats, we have listeners we're gaining each week. And I told Mikey the other day, we actually have some foreign bound listeners. We have at least one, if not two people listening in the UK. So that's pretty cool for considering that we kind of did this as a, hey, why don't we do this? And today is our 14th show, so I'm happy with our progress.
How you doing? You're all right. You're
all right. All right. So you guys can reach us each and every week again at proveitlive.com. And if you have anything you want, questions or anything you want answered or anything you don't understand, please email us at info@proveitlive.com. And that's it, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week. See you next week.